My name is Cynthia George. I'm a professor of social work at Tennessee State University for four-year public colleges and universities. And I am happy to meet you all because there's many people on this call that I have not ever met before. Well, thank you all for joining us today on this Saturday, and I am going to turn it over to Jerome. I met Jerome when I attended the AAUP Summer Institute recently, where we all convened down in Atlanta. But Jerome is a part of the organizing staff for the AAUP, and then he's specifically working on an effort to build HBCUs and solidarity amongst those HBCUs. And I'm just going to turn it over to Jerome, and we look forward to hearing your message today.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's awesome to meet everybody here. Especially with the state of higher ed and what's going on in higher education and the attacks on higher education. I'm always glad to come in a room full of educators and professors and faculty, because now's the time for us to come together. Us to come together united as a united front against these attacks on higher education. Like Dr. Cynthia said that I'm a national organizer with AAUP. I also work with the Committee on Historically Black Institutions and Scholars of Color. I've organized work with faculty members at University of Kansas my first couple of years at AAUP, and we successfully organized a collective bargaining union there. I also helped organize faculty at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and they're basically on the road to getting a union at Nebraska-Lincoln as well. I've been an organizer, a labor organizer, probably for the last 15 or 20 years. I've helped organize, American Airlines, Verizon, Cablevision in Brooklyn, New York. So I come with a good, pretty decent resume of organizing working class people, no matter, if you're cleaning toilets or if you're standing in front of a classroom educating, our youngest, and brightest, future students of America. And the problem is the same, we have to stand up against the boss, folks, in these administrations, they're running their institutions just like corporate America. They've, taken that, strategy book of trying to run in their institutions just like corporate America, like Coca-Cola would run their, their company, just like Verizon would run their their organization. And I'm happy, I've been organizing with faculty members for the last 5 years. Specifically this year, Todd Wolfson and the executive board at AAUP, they asked me to specifically organize at HBCUs. So that's been a lot of the work that I've been doing since January of this year. And so we're building power, just like we're doing nationally. Basically, all we're doing is building faculty power right now. We're the institution, many you probably know, we're the organization that actually filed a lawsuit against the federal government on behalf of Harvard and on behalf of Columbia. And we won that, and we got their endowment money back. We're the institution that filed a lawsuit against Marco Rubio because he wanted to deport our immigrant faculty and students for protesting. And we won that one as well. And that was pretty easy. Not the fact that it was our First Amendment, that should have been the easy part. But we won it because of over 400,000 members stood up and fought against the government. And that's how we won. And that's what we're doing now, whether it be at HBCUs, PWIs, any institution, community colleges. We're trying to build faculty power. We're trying to, get as many folks, as members as possible, because when, the current, administration over there on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. wants to eliminate the Department of Education and eliminate, uh, funding for DEI and science, the best way we fight is in numbers and standing together, unified, and fighting back. And those three victories are just a couple of victories that we've had, within the past year. And it comes from folks coming together, fighting together, and building power at each institution. So I would encourage you at all your institutions, keep fighting for your AAUP chapter, whether it be collective bargaining or whether it be an advocacy chapter. If you're at HBCU, please reach out to me. I would love to visit your chapter, and and talk to folks and build that membership. Every chapter that I've actually gone to, except for a couple of them, some are a little harder than others, but even those, we have folks that want to be members and just take some time to sign up or whatever. But a lot of the other chapters that I've been to, I've substantially, built fortified their membership. Some of them didn't even have executive boards, and we got that straight. We got them, executive boards, and we've gotten, the strength back at the specific chapters. I created a couple of new chapters at Spelman, Morris Brown College, created a new chapter. Clark and Atlanta, they'll be having a new chapter in the upcoming year. Norfolk State University, they just created a new chapter. So, we're doing a lot of work. In last February, the president of AAUP, Todd Wolfson, he came to a meeting with the Committee on Historically Black Institutions and Scholars of Color, and he said he would go to the council, AAUP council, the following month and ask for a specific amount of money just to organize specifically at HBCUs and to deal with the issues specifically that are at HBCUs, because a lot of times the issues are the same primarily, but there are some differences on how we need to, address those issues and strategize against those issues. So he went to the council and they approved over $100,000 to organize specifically at HBCUs. So we have a whole list of programming for that. So if you're at an HBCU, let's talk. Let's get you into the fold, because we're doing a lot of exciting things across the country. As far as PWIs, we're also doing a lot of exciting things right now. I don't know if anybody has attended organizing every campus training. They changed the name to Core Skills Training. Basically, it's last semester was a 2-day training on Friday and a Saturday. It's like 6 hours a day on how to organize on your campus against these attacks on higher education, how to build, whether it be a collective bargaining unit or advocacy chapter, how to build your chapter. And there's some benefits of signing up to that core skills training. Your chapter will be eligible to get dues back, 1/8 dues back. But there's a whole mathematical formula for that. And, we could talk one-on-one about that and how to set that up. But first thing is to get signed up for the next one. The next classes are in February. I can email folks the dates of that. And it's going to be like 2-hour sessions instead of the 6-hour sessions, but it's going to be more days because some folks find it difficult to sit in there on a Zoom for 6 hours. So they kind of mixed it up both, So I would encourage folks to get their chapters connected with the core skills training, and then and get as many. I think they're requiring like 5 people from each chapter to get the get the dues back. And if you're not an HBCU, I can get an organizer assigned to you to help you with that and get get folks with that organizing for every campus, now called Core Skills Training. So yeah, we're doing a lot nationally. Normally, we fight a lot of issues like locally on your campus, and we're still fighting those issues. A few of you talked about the Charlie Kirk situation. There's been several faculty members across the country who've been either fired or suspended for that. And there's been a few of them, they've gotten their jobs back. If you haven't reached out to AAUP National, I'd suggest that you do as soon as possible. We need to connect folks if they've been fired or terminated because of that Charlie Kirk situation. We need to connect them to our DAFG department, the Department of Academic Freedom and Academic Governance. They're the ones that's really handling that right now, and they're communicating with the administrations that have been firing or terminating folks for academic freedom. I'm not even going to say Charlie Kirk. I'm just going to say that's academic freedom, bottom line. And that's where the fight is. And that's, even the current administration, they sent out uh, a a letter to like 9 different institutions asking them to sign this agreement, you know, and and that would ensure that they would continue to get funding, but it was anti-LGBTQ, anti, governance, anti uh, academic freedom, and I think at least 7 of those institutions have refused to sign that. They're calling it the mailman. I don't know why they named it mailman, but I think it's a name somewhere. But it's not. It's not has nothing to do with the post office. But we're fighting against that as well. We've had several days of action this year. We just had one a couple of weeks ago, November 7th, where faculty all across the country, faculty and students, we did a national day of action, whether it be a protest on campus, whether it be a teaching, a lot of different things. We were asking every campus to do some type of action um, on the national days of action. And then we had previous ones in April as well. The next one coming up will probably be in March, and you'll be hearing from folks. If you don't hear anything about it, feel free to reach out to me, and I can get you connected to the right organizers for your institution as well, and we can get the ball rolling with that. Um, yeah, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. But yeah, we're here for you nationally, AAUP nationally. We're here to protect you, against academic freedom, academic governance, whether it be, internally with your administrations or whether it be externally with the legislation, whether it be state or federal. And the only way we can fight and win that battle is by coming together, strategizing, and organizing every campus. That was the original name of that training I was just talking about. Organizing every campus for power. And that's how we're going to win, is when your administration sees that, if you have 200 faculty members there and they see that you only have 10 AAUP members, they're not going to take too much AAUP that serious, but not as that not as serious as if you have like Harvard, where they have like 500 members. They have 500 members strong, and we filed that lawsuit on behalf of them. And the government saw that there's 500 members strong, and they saw that they just can't arbitrarily take their funding away because folks are going to fight back. So I encourage you to talk to faculty members, and just have a one-on-one conversation. A lot of people think you got to come together in a big room, do it at a faculty uh, Senate meeting, or we're large groups of people. The best way to do it is just a one-on-one conversation with your colleagues and inviting them to your next AAUP meeting and inviting them to join as an AAUP member, or even talk to your people that are already members of your chapters and let them know, yes, it's great that we have their membership, they're paying their dues and everything, but we need everybody to be active members. It shouldn't be just the president, organizing everybody. It shouldn't be the president walking around to every department. We should have established leaders in every department: English, science, sociology, psychology, all the way down the line. And this is where my department comes in. We're organizers, and we have organizing structures and organizing plans. And if you work with us, we can build that, with your institution. I've done it at University of Kansas. We built an organizer structure with every discipline, and that's how they were able to become unionized and fight for a um, a collective bargaining contract. The same at University of Nebraska, Rutgers University. They've had a long-standing union at Rutgers University, and I think everybody employed at Rutgers University is part of some union there. So, I mean, in the New York City area, unions are a lot stronger, and I know that's definitely not the scene in Tennessee, but we can build that, and the only way we can, get there is by, talking to one person at a time, and organizing, building and organizing, and I know it's very frustrating, you know, um, some folks may not be, you know, we may not be thinking, how to strategize, the same way. But that's why we have to come together and talk and strategize together and see what would be better for the whole. This is why I invite you to like the organizing for power trainings. I invite you to, anytime we do a day of action, is to bring your faculty together, because that's another opportunity for faculty to come together and opportunity for students to come together to fight against these attacks on higher education.
Thank
And
you,
I'll
Jerome.
leave it at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I was going to open the floor. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Jay?
It goes back to what I said before. Your administration, like many other administrations across the country, they've taken the tactic that corporate America takes. For years, colleges and universities have been very, you know, um, they've done things through academic freedom, academic governance. They've been very diplomatic about how they handle, their employees. But they're slowly getting into the tactics that corporate America is starting to deal with. Although being one that organized a lot of corporate entities, it's still not as bad, but I can see it. I can see the writing on the wall. I can see how they're doing certain things, how they're taking that corporate stance. And now is the time to kind of check them, and let them know, this is how institutions and colleges and universities have been operating for many, many years. Our Red Book has been around for many years. I think first created in 1914, and it's been updated ever since.
Yeah,
And
and it's the
most,
foundation for a lot of university former faculty handbooks and procedures.
yeah,
Procedures.
exactly.
Yeah.
These are the things that the quirks that we're trying to work out everywhere, because, before HBCUs, they were just, the AUP just wasn't doing anything with them. I mean, not nothing, but they had very little support, I should say. And I've pushed for that, to build up the HBCU power, build up the powerful HBCU faculty. So yeah, we can fix that part. The even if you can't unionize, I saw this 6 AAUP members at your institution, and we can start a advocacy chapter with the full-time faculty. All we need is one more member, and I can get that rolling. If you could just help me find that other member between now and March, and I can we can file. The next council meeting is in March. We can file for you guys to be an official AAUP chapter, which will give you a lot of things. Like I can get you a $7,500 mobilization grant. There's also we have we're creating stipends where 1 or 2 faculty members can get paid to actually organize your campus and get more members. It would equate to like whatever course release is at your institution. And there's a whole lot of other stuff that we're doing with HBCUs. I want to bring you in that fall. Uh, but yeah, it's just at the end of the day, it's just, we just need to come in. They've done exactly on purpose what they wanted to do, to divide you guys, separate you guys, and confuse you guys. Now it's time to bring all that back together, clear the confusion, and that's something that they don't want you to do. The good news is once people start working together and coming together, I started the Spelman chapter with 8 people. Now they have over 23 people in their chapter, and they're fighting their administration, because they're putting people on the board that's not even qualified to be on there. But by our first summer institute, I noticed there were no HBCUs at that summer institute. There were 3: University of Virgin Islands, Prairie View, and I forget who the other one was. All right, so I was like, not under my watch, because they also assigned me to the Committee on Historically Black Institutions and Scholars of Color. So every year, after that, I set up a HBCU roundtable discussion. You may have gotten an email from me. Summer Institute, which was this past July, we had over 20 HBCUs there and over 60 faculty from HBCUs. Okay. So we're building a power base, and I want to invite you to that power base.
Help pay for you, and there's national grants as well. So
yeah,
that'd be great. I mean, everybody who's gone to the Summer Institute, including Cynthia, has nothing but praise. What about TSU? I mean, it's so awful what the state of Tennessee has done. Is there hope, I guess, is my question. Is there hope for TSU to get the back compensation promised by the state of Tennessee?
Absolutely, there's hope. If we got the Harvard money back, we got Columbia University money back. I strongly believe we can get TSU's money back.